Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to look at Dune Awakening, the proposed minimum requirement, which consists of the i5-7400 or the AMD Ryzen 3 1200, 16GB of RAM, a GTX 1060 6GB variant, AMD Radeon 5600 XT, no mention of any Intel Arc GPU, 60GB of storage, and SSD is required. Welcome to Respawn PC, I'm Dunk, let's game on. Starting up with the i5-7600K because my i5-7400 just died on me. This is the closest I have. 16GB of RAM and the GTX 1060 6GB variant. We are at the 1080p lowest settings, presets with TSR Native, and that is not looking good, at least on the GPU side. We are pegged at 100% using 4.8GB of VRAM out of 6. The GPU is pegged at 100%, but we get only 24 FPS. CPU side we are on the high 40s utilization, and on the RAM we are at 13 out of 16. This is already unplayable and we just start the game. We didn't reach any bandit encampment or cities, or you didn't even build your base or get a sandstorm or a worm or whatever you're going to meet in this game. For the CPU side it's okay, even I have a little bit more powerful than the i5-7400. For the difference in performance, the 7600K won't make a big difference, so the i5-74 should be okay. Now the dev didn't mention what was the target FPS and resolution, so we assume it's 1080p to reach at least 30 FPS, I guess, for this kind of game. At least with this kind of hardware you won't reach 60 FPS, as we already seen. And they didn't mention if we need to use upscaling to be able to play at over 30 FPS. Now I drop a TSR to 75% or TSR quality for upscaling to be able to play over 30 FPS. We are now at 34 FPS, and you might even have to drop to 50% or TSR balance when you reach a trade center or big cities, or when there's more action going on. From my point of view, I'll say the GTX 1060 6GB variant is a fail. Now jumping to the AMD side of things, the first thing you encounter will be this warning that the CPU that is in the proposed minimum requirement doesn't meet the minimum requirement. That is quite unexpected. I don't know how big their team is, but someone doesn't talk to someone that should have talked to, because those minimum requirements have been recently written down, because at the beta, when I tested, there was no minimum requirement, and now there's minimum requirement, Ryzen 3 1200, that doesn't meet the requirement. Now if we ignore this warning and we still play with the RX5600 XT at the lowest settings, 1080p, and to put it to the same level as the 1060 6GB variant, we're going to be at FSR quality. And I'll let you guess who was right and who was wrong as recommending the Ryzen 3 1200 as the minimum requirement. It is not. We are CPU bottleneck. We are pegged at 100% on the CPU side. The GPU is going well in the mid 50 to the mid 60% of utilization and still able to be just over 30 FPS. We are at 32 FPS, but I'm sure the GPU can offer better than that if you pair it with a CPU that can handle the game better. The RAM, we are at 13.6 out of 16, so there's no issue there. It's really the CPU who's bottlenecking the whole thing. We're going to find out in the real minimum requirement, but for sure we're going to start above the Ryzen 3 1200. Probably maybe a Ryzen 5 1500 or Ryzen 5 1600, or if it's too dependent on the core/thread, maybe Ryzen 7 1700 or 1800. And that's all for the proposed minimum requirement for Dune Awakening. This is really not what it's supposed to be. Thanks for watching, see you in the next one, and subscribe.